Alright, it does. Helps if you're on the right side. But, like, I need this on here, but I need to get to the click to release it, which is why I had it that way. So, okay, I will stand on my head and release this click. There we go. I just took the whole spring off the click, and so I've got all of it right here, which I don't usually do, but this does not have very far to unwind. Alright, so now I'm going to take out my hairspring and balance wheel. If you take it whichever way you need to turn your slow fast adjuster, where the end of it is close to the little bar and pin that holds your hairspring, you can unpin your hairspring and then just turn the balance wheel and it'll come out of both of them. There we go. This one is more like a regular pin, not so pointy on the end. So, okay, I'm going to turn this way until the end of that comes out of there. Alright, it's out of that one. Working on getting it out of the slow fast little lever before I unscrew anything and put any pressure anywhere else. It's kind of got a bend on the end of it, so it's hanging up. It just came through this pin that holds it, and it is not through the other one yet. Maybe if I bring it down straight. If I could see, it would help. My light is not right. My eyes are not right. Alright, there's the end of it right there. So I've got it loose from everything. And you guys can't see that at all. Anyway, there's the end. I just turned this backwards until it unscrewed from everything. So I'm going to loosen this lower one. Well, I said I'm going to. It's kind of like everything else. It is turning. Hairspring's in good shape. It's flat this way, and all of the circles are concentric. Kind of like what you look for with your winding spring on your main arbors. So I don't see anything I need to do there other than get it clean. It has a little split right here on the little collet that's on the inside of this hairspring, and also on this side. It goes all the way through, so it's kind of a C-shaped little collar that holds the hairspring, and you can separate that slightly and slide this off if you needed to make some big adjustments to this hairspring. Any of them I've adjusted, I've just had to work on the very end. But I have watched a lot of videos on how to fix them if they're skewed, like not flat anymore, and then how to fix the concentric circles, which I found really interesting. If you have a circle that's out of round, you go to where it is the most out of round, like say this part was too far out of round. You go 45 degrees from that, and that's where your error is in the spring. And then if you have a hairspring that's a couple rounds of it kind of go up in the air, you go to the biggest round of that, and the problem is 180 degrees from that biggest loop. So there was if you search YouTube videos on hairsprings, there was one from like the 1972 or somewhere around there, from a college in New York, I think it was. And this fellow was just, it was like a college lecture class they had recorded, and this fellow looked like he was about 80 years old, and just whipped these hairsprings out and spun them all around and did stuff and stretched them and whirled them and got them back in round. He'd bend them out around and bend them back in round. Like it was pretty cool to watch. So it made me a little more comfortable working with these little jobbies, but they're still very delicate. So baby your little hairsprings. They do sell them. You can replace one. I don't have any. I haven't bought any. So when the time comes, I guess I will. Okay, well, so much for that not coming off. I can't get the nut off without that coming off. So I'll be back when I break that pin and knock it out with a punch and whatever I'm going to have to do. I had no luck with everything I tried. There is no way I could get that pin out. But I was able to get up under there, and it just lifts high enough to let me get the nut out. So maybe I'll be able to get it back together. We'll see. This hopefully is going to slip through everything. This big time one in the middle here. If I can get it up enough to get these out. No, they're not going to come out. Alright, that guy is off here. So this one in the center that turns the hands is under these, so it's not going to come off without disrupting everything. Unless maybe I can turn it over and it'll do that. No, it's still got to come past everything. Well, I've got my pictures and my drawings already, so we will get it back together. So most of my time train fell out already over here. So I'll just take the strike train out over here. This guy is just trouble. This is the one that's broken. It's the one holding up the movement coming apart. It's just trouble. Oh, I see. It can't come up because of this wire that they put on here for safety. This can't come up. So this can't come up. So I wonder if that wire will come out. Or bend over out of my way. And I believe this one is supposed to have a wire on it also, because there's a hole right here just like there is on the other side. Apparently they put the spring in, then they slip the arbor down through it last. There we go. Okay, let's see. Yay! I thought I was going to have to take this apart. I did on the other one. It was hanging up again, but... Alright, well, there's my clock. I'm going to set it back together so we can get a look at things. So I believe I have it back together. This is the top. This is the... This would be normally how I would have it oriented, taking the screws off and take that off and have everything in here. But it doesn't fit that way. So this is with the movement upside down in the front of it. Strike side should be the spring and just two wheels and the fan as far as I can tell. Time side, spring, minute, arbor, and then goes off from there to the escapement and the fork, and with the pallet, pin pallet down there. So this thing on the strike side is what I was talking about. I would show you when I get it apart. This built-in little damper with the felt pad on it, and that's the button you're turning right there. See, it's mounted off center, so as you turn it, it just raises it up in the air, and that rubs right here on this to slow down the movement. I don't know, like maybe you just like the music playing slower. I don't know. It's a cool feature to add, but I don't understand why, because your governor fan normally controls the speed of your strike side moving. And so that governor fan goes right here. This piece that's mounted on here, and then this piece that sticks up here, it also has the little dust plate on the back, like the one up here. So when it's together, your fan is sideways this way. And it's got a worm screw on the arbor shaft that's gonna run with this gear turning. So anyway, time to clean. Got the fluid heating up. I was digging through trying to find things to try to get this wheel off. I did find a American clock antique hand nut that would fit on here to turn my alarm time around, so that was cool. Alright, so what are we going to do about these guys? Let me get these pieces off. That piece doesn't come off. Okay. So we have that bar down through here still. I just don't know what I'm going to do with that. Let's try to just take this one off to start. Oh my goodness gracious, would something just come off like it's supposed to? One thing. Okay, well, one thing came off. There's my spring clamp. So I was able to put the key on, turn the arbor backward, and release this. So that lets this slide out from under here, and I thought, okay, that's how they're installing the spring, putting the mechanism together, but this is under that bar, so that bar is going to have to come out. Should check your clicks, since these little carriage clocks have issues with springs. A little bit of play. Very minimal here. This one does wobble enough, but it should be tightened up. Which you do by putting this on a flat, hard surface like your staking block and tap it from the inside normally, like you would this one. This one you can tighten up. You put this on the staking block and you flatten that a little bit more to make it hold. But this one is covered, and I don't know why it's covered, which will make it impossible to make that tighter. Alright, off to cleaning. I have finished cleaning the pieces. Came out pretty good. I put the wheel back on the inside of the spring, and I just put it between the two pieces of case so that I could wind it up and get a zip tie on it to start being able to put the pieces back together. Here's the case. This is the other side of the top. When you take the handle off and unscrew it, it's two pieces put together. And so I just flipped it over. Got the back door straight. It's opening and closing. I just set this face in here to keep it clean, but overall it came out well. The nickel shined up nicely where there was still some. Well, I say I can open and close that. Now it doesn't want to. So when you put this in here, make sure you got it the right way for one thing, but make sure you put your wheel back on your spring in the right direction. You don't want to flip it over after you've cleaned it by mistake. And then when you put it back in the case, there's a little bar right there, to contain the spring from the rest of the movement. So make sure you are inside of both of those, and then put your nuts on there. Now there's no gears in here to hold this, so it's going to unwind. So that's why I'm got a glove on, so I can hold the gear. And that should be small enough for me to get on the other side of the gear. This side's no problem. Yep, I've got room on that side now. Now that third hand would come in handy to grab the other end of this. Coming under that little stay. And then just back around to the front, because I gotta be around this post. Oop, I got it upside down. Won't be able to get it off very easily. And I'm going to make sure that I'm high enough that I'm just on the band and not on the post. I don't know if that's going to hold. With the post not in there, that's not going to hold. I don't know. Pressure's back on the zip tie. So I can take these nuts back off and build my plate, because I have to build my plate upside down and then put that on it. So I did put it all together on the side that faces the back. This is the top. Because of this spring being here and being tied, I couldn't build the whole thing here. Maybe I could slip that off and slip it under, but I don't plan on doing that. My plan is I'm going to take this little pressure fitted piece off so that I can actually put this down underneath everything where it goes and put the face on this thing. So I've got my bent screwdrivers and it comes off easily. And I'm gonna sneak it down underneath everything. Maybe. That has to touch this wheel. Alright, there's my picture. Timepiece, this goes down this way. Alright, and then that wheel turns that wheel, and that wheel turns the escapement and pallet pins. And then on the strike side, I have a piece that doesn't go to anything because the rest of my spring is broken. I was lucky enough to find for about 20 bucks I got a new movement coming, well, an old movement coming that I'll be able to use parts off of to get a new spring. I think it was 15 with free shipping, so a good deal. It cost me more than that to buy a spring and hope that it's the right length. You can find them that are the right thickness. You need the diameter here and you need the thickness of the spring. Those are your two main numbers, and then the length. And when I had looked before to try to replace one of these old springs, I could find one that was about 6 inches shorter. Since this is on the strike side, that wouldn't be terrible. It just means that the music wouldn't play for as long. If the one that I was working on before, it was the time side, so it would definitely cut down on my 30 hours or so of time to lose 6 inches. And then the next size up was way long. It wasn't going to fit in the little half barrel that was there. So I'm glad to find an old one that I can get parts off of. Alright, so that piece, this guy underneath, does it go under that one too? It does. Okay, under both of those. And this last guy. That's your little alarm shut off right there. That hits the this little spring here with the little tab on the end of it. That's what it's tabbing up against to make it not alarm until it's time for the alarm to go off. And then when that pops up, it lets the movement turn. Oh, and Mr. Gene happened to be able to find my fly, so that'll be coming in the mail too. So that was really exciting for today. Alright, I'm going to try to put this plate on. Much easier with that piece off. I just didn't want to fight with it, but there wasn't much of a fight to it, so. There we go. Now will the spring go in the hole? My teeth are hitting on that center wheel, the lantern pinion top. It's not actually on the lantern pinion. There we go. Alright, that's gonna work. Alright, that one on loosely. That one might go on loosely, but I'm not gonna chance bending my pieces up here. The most delicate little pinions, pivots are up here at the top. So I'm gonna get all these pieces lined up in the holes and I'll meet you back. I'm gonna put this little guy back in now. So he goes like so. I'm gonna put the bottom in the little hole there. Maybe. There's a little pin on here that your fork goes back and forth on. So you want to get that in there first. In the center. It's easy to catch it on one of the other pieces of the fork. Alright, then I'm lifting the top point up into that cone and move this over so I can tighten this bottom screw enough to catch the bottom point. Still not caught yet. And if you aren't right in the center of that little screw, the center of it is hollowed out, and the only part touching on this balance wheel is the very tip inside the well that's there on the screw hole, on the screw. So it's hard to get it right in the middle between the two. You are either outside of it and you get it tightened up. It takes a little bit. I fell out of this top one. I've tried doing it the other way, set it in the bottom and then try to lift it up to the top. You can't see the top. And you'll be outside of the little depression. I think I'm in there. But not enough to hold it. Okay. So anyway, you see what I'm going to do, and then I'll be back. One thing I learned about setting up these hairsprings, I've put a couple winds on the spring and tried it, and it's stopping. Of course, it's not adjusted perfectly. You would have to have your wire that you fed through in exactly the same spot and not have adjusted anything. And I know when I was turning this and trying to get the wire in, the collet in the middle was turning. So I don't know if you can see in that hole right there, but this balance wheel has 3 arms on it. Looks like a peace sign with a circle around it. And then the fork that comes over, that goes back and forth on that pin, they should line up on this wheel that's got the pin on it. You should be able to see that they're in the same line. If I turn it just slightly like that, then the fork and the arm of the peace sign are exactly the same. It was like that. So I'm going to adjust my collet where it brings that in a straight line, and that should make it be right. Alright, the collet was over here. I held it and just moved my balance wheel up 1 millimeter, and it seems to be doing good. I have not put oil on anything yet. I'm going to put a little bit of oil on the pins on the pallet and the pallet pins, so that the escapement wheel's got a little bit of lube. I haven't put any oil in here because I'm still waiting on a spring and a fan before I can put this all back together, but I've got everything in there. I'll have to take it back apart and put the spring in when it comes. And then the fan is adjustable. This screw slides up and down, and this one slides up and down to adjust your fan so that the little worm on it is on the wheel. But yeah, this was a fun day's little project. So anyway, it already ran overnight before I cleaned it, so I think we're in good shape. I'm not going to put it back in the case yet. Just more chance to damage old glass and old paper, so I'm going to put some oil on the spring and my pivot holes and then my pallet pins, and let it run for a little bit. Oh, and also put a tiny bit, I should have done it before I put it together, put a tiny bit in these little cups that are on either end of the balance wheel. Yesterday when it was frozen up and filthy when I first got it, that's what I did, was put a little bit of oil there, and I was able to get a little bit on the fork and a little bit on the escapement wheel, and it started working. So, but it would stop frequently, and then once I got the piece of spring out, it started running and ran all night. So it's a good movement. Alright, I'll keep y'all posted when the new parts get here. Thanks for watching, guys.